What up, LK Mafia? It's your boy Artofkickz, and just like that, we back with another one. Alright, y'all, so I'm about to be streaming on Twitch tonight. That's right, baby. I'm gonna be streaming on there. Ain't no telling how long. I'm trying to play some Call of Duty, so I'm gonna play a few matches on hardcore. That's my mode. Hardcore, you know, it's more realistic, less bullets. I don't get that core mess. You get die. You won't look, it's not for me. It's not for me. But anyway, we got a video here. This is top 20 normal looking pictures with disturbing backstories. So let's dive deep. Let's get a understanding of what craziness has occurred from these images that got crazier backstories. I love stuff like this, man. So let's go. Y'all ready? I'm ready.
To Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 normal looking pictures with disturbing backstories.
Okay.
For this list, we're looking at photos that seem perfectly innocent until you do some further reading. Number 20, Tragedy by the Sea. At first glance, this photo might appear romantic. After all, it shows a couple on a windswept beach. But look closer, and the woman's distraught expression says it all.
Yeah.
Right before photographer John L. Gaunt took the shot, the couple's 19-month-old son had been happily playing in their yard. But he wandered off and disappeared into the waves. The couple is standing on the shore, realizing their son is gone. This photo actually won the 1955 Pulitzer Prize. And given the backstory, it's a haunting shot of sudden and unexpected tragedy.
Wait, hold on. This photo won the Pulitzer. What? Did it? Oh my! I got so many questions. Did it win it because of the story that was attached to it, or was the emotion so filled within the picture itself that they thought it deserved such a established, award? What? That's crazy. That is crazy. Space Shuttle Challenger.
Space Shuttle Challenger crew. It's unclear where the astronauts in this photo are going, but they appear excited and optimistic about whatever's on the horizon. Doing some digging, you'll find that the crew was walking out of the operations and checkout building. They were headed for pad 39B, where the Space Shuttle Challenger was about to take off. The STS-51L mission was notable for its diverse crew, although that's sadly not what it's best remembered for. Only a minute after launching, the space shuttle exploded.
73.5 seconds.
Right.
Challenger's engine.
This photo was taken on January 28, 1986, mere hours before the crew unknowingly embarked on what would be their final mission. Number 18.
Gotta edit that out.
Christopher McCandless. With a grin across his face, the man in this picture appears to be waving hello, but he was actually waving goodbye. This bearded explorer is Christopher McCandless, the subject of the 2007 biopic Into the Wild. Leaving his old life behind, McCandless decided to fend for himself in Mother Nature's backyard, eventually seeking refuge in an abandoned Fairbanks Bus 142. In August 1992, the 24-year-old McCandless died at Stampede Trail, Alaska, most likely due to starvation. Based on the last self-photo he took, it's evident McCandless knew his days were numbered. While it's hard to make out, the paper McCandless is holding is his farewell message, reading, quote, "I've had a happy life and thank the Lord. Goodbye, and may God bless all." Number 17.
He kept it short and simple. Wow. I hope that his words were true. I hope he was speaking his truth and that he did have a happy life,
Lightning strike. While the numbers vary, the odds of getting struck by lightning are relatively slim. That doesn't mean you shouldn't take lightning safety seriously, though. This photo of 18-year-old Michael McQuilkin and his 12-year-old brother Sean has served as a cautionary tale ever since it was taken in 1975. Posing together at Morro Rock, the brothers were goofing around with their hair standing on end. Their static hair and those storm clouds in the background were more foreboding than either realized, as lightning struck them shortly after their sister took the picture.
What?
Another hiker died, and while the brothers survived, Sean was left with third-degree burns and took his own life in 1989.
Oh my God. Did that lightning strike affect him that bad that he ended up taking his own life? That is sad. That makes me wonder. Recently, about a week or two ago, I had watched a video, and I'm blocking heck out of this dude. I'm sorry, I'm too big on here. But about a week or two ago, I watched a video of these people underneath a tree, and it was like 4 of them, and all 4 of them got hit with a lightning bolt. It was like it happened at the same time. They were surrounding the tree, but 3 of them just poof, they fell. They all fell in opposite directions, and then the 4th person was kind of leaning up against a tree, and then they fell for it. And it makes me think and wonder what happened to them. Did they suffer those type of burns? Did they die from the lightning strikes? Like, crazy.
Continues to spread awareness about the dangers and warning signs of lightning. Number 16, another day in Oma. Looking at this photo, the first thing you're inclined to notice is the man standing in the street and the child on his shoulders.
Right.
Meanwhile, the red car parked on the side of the road appears inconsequential. What you might not realize is that the photo was taken in Oma, a Northern Ireland town, on August 15th, 1998, not long before this car blew up.
Whoa.
The Real Irish Republican Army, a splinter group, executed this car bombing 5 days after the Good Friday Agreement was signed.
500 pounds of explosives detonated inside a red Vauxhall Cavalier parked on the roadside, pulverizing surrounding buildings.
Oh my God.
Although the Real IRA claimed that innocent civilians were not their target, 29 lives were lost in the bombing, and roughly 220 were injured.
It was the biggest loss of life in a single attack in Northern Ireland.
While the man and child thankfully survived the bombing, the person behind the camera did not.
Oh.
Number 15, David A. Johnston.
So did
While
that...
not a household...
Wait a minute. The way the story was put together seemed like that incident happened 5 days prior to that photo being taken. But for her to say that the photographer lost their life gives me the assumption that that actually happened that same day that photo was taken. Wow.
Name, David A. Johnston was a revered volcanologist who, along with the United States Geological Survey, helped save thousands of people through his on-site work. Tragically, Johnston lost his own life in the process. All seems well in this photo, as Johnston sits in a chair outside looking into the camera. Little did anyone know that within the next 13 hours, Johnston would perish in the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. The eruption, preceded by seismic activity, was first reported by Johnston, who radioed the message, quote, "Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it." Within the next seconds, the signal went out and Johnston was never heard from again.
So I guess I had the realization right away that this was some kind of a tragedy. And on the one hand, it was
this picture, my goodness, just sitting here looking at it, you know, seeing this man with a smile on his face, waiting for this exciting event to occur. It's just like in the moment, him just sitting there kind of relaxed. He would never have assumed that this would be his last hours on Earth. There's no way to know that. It's like it makes you obviously appreciate life more, but at the same time, it makes you think, what else can I be doing? You know, it's like, what else can I really be doing so that I can really enjoy life? It's something that I've been, thoughts that literally have been going on in my head all day, every single day for the last year. I've been battling with those thoughts. And obviously, considering the pandemic, you know, I don't want to say it, but, you know, YouTube be tripping. But because of that, it's made it hard for a lot of us to really, you know, experience life to the fullest. Whew, man.
huge, exciting, and interesting magmatic eruption. And on the other hand, I was pretty certain that something terrible had happened to Dave.
While his remains were never found, it's believed that Johnston died at Coldwater 2, a post that wasn't as safe as anticipated.
I think one of the things to put in perspective.
As soon as I heard her say cold water, did you see my eyes? I was like looking for water. I'm like, what? I want some cold water.
Is that 234 square miles of that area of Washington were devastated by that blast. So 5.7 miles. Wow. Yeah. That was within that devastation zone, the blast zone.
Number 14, Mark Jackson's basketball card. For diehard sports fans, you'll recognize the player on this basketball card as Mark Jackson, who started his NBA career with the New York Knicks and later coached the Golden State Warriors. At first glance, this card would likely blend in with the rest of your collection. Take a closer look at the lower left-hand corner, though. You see those two young fans sitting in the front row?
Yeah.
They are Lyle and Eric Menendez.
Hold on, I'm blocking again. I'm blocking. Let me move the fat guy out the way right quick. I'm talking about these two guys right here.
Closer look at the lower left-hand corner, though. You see those two young fans sitting in the front row? They are Lyle and Eric Menendez, two wealthy brothers who took the lives of their allegedly abusive parents on August 20th, 1989.
The brothers who were thought to have it all, at times acting out, even going as far as robbing houses until they were caught.
The brothers weren't arrested for these crimes until March 8th, 1990, and in between that time, they spent an extravagant...
You know, the way they look like characters in a movie that would do something like that. Like if it was a movie, they look like the guys that would play the characters to do that. But they actually did it. They were that privileged. This reminds me of the Silver Spoon Gang. There's a gang in Brazil called the Silver Spoon Gang. And it's a bunch of wealthy people. They're all wealthy. They're called the Silver Spoon Gang because, you know, you get fed with a silver spoon your whole life. They're all rich brats. They're kids in their early 20s. Some of them late teens. And they commit crimes, serious crimes. And from my understanding, they do it amongst other rich kids. Like, why? You have everything. Some people are just sick in the head, I guess.
Between that time, they spent an extravagant amount of money.
So at the time, nothing seemed suspicious to you about them?
No, but soon detectives shifted their focus.
The brothers were out there spending money like it was water.
It appears that some of that fortune went towards Knicks tickets before their apprehension. Number 13, Rodney Alcala. If we asked you to name the man in this photo, you might take a wild guess and say Christoph Waltz if he had Weird Al's hairdresser. In reality, he's Rodney Alcala, the dating game killer.
I knew it.
How did he get such a
I knew it. I was like, yo, this looked like the dating game killer.
outlandish nickname? Because Alcala appeared on the dating game prior to his 1979 arrest.
If you haven't heard this story, it is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. I thought it was him. Watch this. Watch this.
Because Alcala appeared on the dating game prior to his 1979 arrest.
The woman who won a date with him ended up backing out, saying she found him creepy.
Come on, over here.
Her intuition probably saved her life. Others
cringe
would not be so fortunate.
While his total victim count could be as high as 130, Alcala was trialed for 5 murders in 2010, almost 31 years after his apprehension. Alcala represented himself in court, as seen in this picture.
Of course he did.
Even more bizarre, Alcala was his own defense witness, asking himself, quote, "Rodney, would you please tell us about your hair?" Alcala ultimately received the death sentence, although he's still awaiting execution to this date. Number 12. Ayano Tokumasu. Remember that scene in Superman 2 where a little boy falls over the rail at Niagara Falls? Oh my god! Well, that sort of thing happens more often than you think, but Superman sadly isn't around to save the day. On the surface, there doesn't seem to be anything particularly special about this photo, which sees several people gathering at Niagara River. The woman in the red sweater is Ayano Tokumasu, an exchange student from Japan. If you think standing on that pillar seems kind of dangerous, you'd be right.
Yes.
Not long after the photo was taken, she lost her balance and fell over the edge, ultimately going down Horseshoe Falls. Tokumasu was swept from the river's Canadian side to its American side, where her lifeless body was discovered.
People just go too far. You know, I don't blame anything on the park. I just think people wanted to get that extra edge, get closer, get closer. And unfortunately, things happen.
Number 11, the SS Grand Camp. The SS...
If y'all heard me holler out just now, my mind went there. I fell in that water and went over the edge. I felt that. Woo!
Grand Camp may not be a household name like the Titanic, but it's forever linked to the Texas City disaster. And this photo captured the vessel just before tragedy spiraled out of control. On April 16, 1947, smoke was seen emitting from the docked ship in Texas City. A fire had broken out with about 2,200 tons of ammonium nitrate aboard. This naturally amounted to an explosion, but that was only the beginning.
Texas City, Texas was jarred by a tremendous blast.
The blast ignited a subsequent explosion on the High Flyer, another ship carrying ammonium nitrate.
Wow. At about 8:15, they hollered for me to come aboard the ship, that they had a fire down in the hold. Went aboard the ship, and we seen smoke coming up from between the cargo and the side of the ship.
The ensuing chain reaction resulted in a loss of 581 lives, with only one survivor from the local fire department.
Wow.
Number 10, Apollo 1 pool party. The space pod in the swimming pool is only the second weirdest thing about this photo. Like, how often do you see astronauts lounging on water floats while wearing their spacesuits? Surely there must be a humorous story behind such a surreal image. Unfortunately, it's quite the opposite. The suited-up astronauts in this photo were Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger B. Chaffee. They were training for the Apollo 1 mission, which was planned to commence in February of 1967. On January 27th of that year, a fire broke out in the cabin during a pre-launch test. Unable to open the hatch door, the 3 men perished in the fire, which was caused by
Wow. For one, that picture was so clear. It looked like a picture from these times. But that picture was from the 60s? Are you serious?
electrical problems. Thus, the mission ended before it even started.
The pad where Grissom, Chaffee, and White died is now a memorial. Lieutenant Colonel Virgil Grissom, U.S. Air Force, and Lieutenant Commander Roger Chaffee are buried at the Arlington National Cemetery. Lieutenant Colonel Edward White is interred at West Point Military Academy.
Number 9, bear photographer. There are countless photos of bears out there, and this one doesn't look much different from all the rest. Since the picture was taken from a distance and the bear isn't charging, the photographer seemingly isn't in any immediate danger. After Darsh
that bear can get up that tree like it ain't nothing.
Patel snapped
black
this
bear.
pic using his phone, however, the bear started to follow him and his friends. The group split up as the bear began to close in on them, ultimately pursuing Patel. His phone was eventually found with animal teeth marks, while Patel's body was discovered at a nearby ravine.
A scenic Sunday afternoon ended in horror when 5 hikers crossed paths with a 300-pound black bear that looked similar to this one.
The bear was still hanging around the 22-year-old's fatally mauled remains, and the authorities took the wild animal out.
We believe this bear was about 4 years old. It was not a tagged bear, meaning it had no history with the DEP. There was no research done on this bear that we know of. It had no previous incidents of aggression that would have called it to our attention.
This photo op came at a steep price for Patel and the bear. Number 8, what are you smiling at? The 2 men being escorted in this photo are Richard Hickok and Perry Edward Smith. Although handcuffs...
I'm sorry, I'm over here thinking to be mauled to death by a bear. Whew, that's some gruesome, painful way to go. Goodness.
Are visible, the jolly smile on Smith's face suggests they're only in for a mild offense. This couldn't be further from the truth. Ever hear of a book called In Cold Blood? Well, Hickok and Smith provided the basis for this best-selling true crime novel. The 2 criminals were convicted for the Clutter family murders and sentenced to death.
Richard Hickok, the first to be executed, decided by a coin toss. Perry Smith's was second.
In this chilling photo, Hickok and Smith can be seen leaving the courtroom right after receiving the guilty verdict. Much can be said about Smith's haunting grin. If there's one takeaway from the image, though, it's that this crime was indeed cold-blooded. Number 7, BTK at graduation. Dennis Rader was his church's president, a Cub Scout leader, and an all-around pillar of the community. As you can tell from this photo, Rader was also a family man who seemed quite proud of his daughter Carrie at her college graduation. This would all be overshadowed, though, when Rader was exposed as the BTK Strangler, the letters standing for bind, torture, kill as his preferred MO.
Another one. This dude right here looked like he would be the character in a movie. Like the BTK thing. He looked like he would be that character, but he's actually that person.
Daughter Carrie at her college graduation. This would all be overshadowed, though, when Rader was exposed as the BTK Strangler, the letters standing for bind, torture, kill as his preferred MO.
When BTK came forward, everybody's life changed. He would see a woman walking and he would say, "She's next."
Over the course of multiple decades, this seemingly ordinary guy took 10 lives. In 2005, the authorities used Carrie Rader's DNA to link her father to a crime scene, culminating in his arrest.
Carrie had graduated from K-State, and while there, had tests at health services, both a pap smear and a biopsy. Investigators traveled to Manhattan with a subpoena in hand for those smears. Her DNA, a direct match to DNA left at BTK crime scenes.
Rader pled guilty and was subsequently sentenced to 10 consecutive life sentences. About 14 years after her father was captured, Carrie released a book entitled A Serial Killer's Daughter, My Story of Faith, Love, and Overcoming.
Wait, hold on. Did she know the whole time that her father was a serial killer? That is, oh my God. Poor victims. I hate that. Oh my God. I'm thinking about this entire video that we've seen so far, and I'm just having flashes run through my head of all this stuff that didn't happen and how many people have lost their lives. It's unfortunate. So unfortunate.
It's been like a cathartic process of having to go do really hard work and find those memories again of my father that I have lost, and try to separate my dad back out as my dad and remove the BTK from it.
Number 6.
Ooh, she said that so perfectly. She said that so perfectly, especially when you're writing a book about real events that have happened in your life. You have to dig deep into your mental space and pull up stories that happened as they did, stories that you suppressed for so long that you about forgot about them, and then for her to have this type of relationship with the killer who was her father, to separate the two. There was my dad, my great dad, and then there was this killer. Wow. She worded that like a person that has, some sense.
Dutch Girls of Panama. Scrolling through Instagram, chances are you'll stumble across a number of pleasant photos like these. Standing against a colorful backdrop with green hills and blue skies, 22-year-old Lisanne Froon appears to have a lovely day ahead of her. Froon was on vacation with 21-year-old Chris Kramers, a fellow Dutch student seen in another photo at the same spot. The two set out for a hike in Panama on April 1st, 2014 when these pics were taken. This was also the day that Froon and Kramers disappeared, resulting in a grueling search. 10 weeks down the line, Froon's backpack was uncovered with her camera inside. Froon and Kramers' remains were eventually found scattered across the jungle, with the cause of death still up for debate. Number 5.
See, that's why I'm so afraid to travel, man. God. You never know. You never know what could happen. Man. I wish the world was a safe place. Man.
Travis Alexander. Travis Alexander was 30 when this photo was taken of him in the shower. The person behind the camera was Jodi Arias, with whom Alexander had a shaky romantic relationship. This was the last photo ever taken of Alexander alive, as his friends found his body in the shower a few days later. It was only a matter of time until the authorities connected the dots and arrested his ex-girlfriend. Arias constantly changed her story, originally pleading innocence, later claiming that 2 intruders broke in, and ultimately testifying that she killed Alexander in self-defense.
Why?
The simple answer is that he attacked me, and I defended myself.
In the end.
I'm sorry, sweetheart, but you twisted that. I mean, you changed that story too much for anybody to believe you now. Why didn't you just say if it was in self-defense from the jump? If that's the truth. I doubt they believed you. Let's find out.
Arias was deemed guilty of first-degree murder, receiving a life sentence.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action upon our oaths, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty.
Alexander appears off guard in this photo. He clearly had no idea what was coming. Number 4, the Eternal Shadow. At face value, this dark outline of a person could be chalked up to some harmless graffiti. While we wish that were the case, this shadowy figure resulted from the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In August of 1945, the U.S. dropped 2 nuclear weapons, Little Boy and Fat Man, that resulted in anywhere between 129 and 226,000 deaths.
At 8:14, it was a sunny day.
What? Wait, what? I'm sorry, you guys, but I have no idea that nukes have actually been used before. I knew that they were a thing that like most major countries around the world, like Russia, America, and Asia, was working on. But I never knew that there had actually been strikes. Wait, was this U.S. and what?
While we wish that were the case, this shadowy figure resulted from the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In August of 1945, the U.S. dropped 2
1945, they had nukes?
Nuclear weapons, Little Boy and Fat Man.
Little Boy and Fat Man. That's messed up.
That resulted in anywhere between 129 and 226,000 deaths.
What? Nukes that took out that many people? Oh my God.
At 8:14, it was a sunny day. At 8:15, it was a hellscape.
Whoever this person was, it appears they were using a walking stick during their final moments when the blast hit. As a result of the bombing, an imprint of this unknown soul was left on the steps. This wasn't an isolated incident, as numerous shadows can still be found around the bombing sites, forever immortalizing those horrifying days. Number 3, the happy, creepy killer. Without any background information, the wide-eyed kid in this picture probably wouldn't strike you as very threatening. When you know the whole story, however, that innocent smile of his will quickly turn into a ghastly grin. This curly-haired 17-year-old is Jeffrey Franklin, who killed his parents and attacked his 3 siblings. Following a car chase, the authorities cornered Franklin at a dead end.
I'm sorry, but look at this man. Never judge a book by its cover, but I'm pretty sure that if you were to know him, you would think that there might have been some things off about his character.
The photo shows Franklin in the back of a police vehicle, not appearing especially distraught over the atrocities he's committed or his impending future behind bars. Claiming he felt like a, quote, evil being had taken over him, Franklin pled guilty and received 3 consecutive life sentences.
I don't blame anybody for the reactions to me because I feel that I justified most of them.
Number 2.
Oh, well, I ate my own words because listening to him talk, it sounded normal.
Goodbye, John Lennon. We're all familiar with the music of John Lennon as well as his tragic fate. Photographer Paul Gorish couldn't have predicted it at the time, but this would reportedly be the last picture anyone took of Lennon. The image seems innocent enough as the former Beatle signs his autograph for an apparent admirer. Lennon's impending demise was creeping up in the photo's corner, however. The man standing next to him is none other than Mark David Chapman, the one responsible for Lennon's untimely demise.
Hard to get to write at first. Then he wrote his name, John Lennon, and then underneath that, 1980. And he looked at me, as I mentioned earlier, he said, "Is that all? Do you want anything else?"
6 hours or so after this photo was taken, Lennon and Yoko Ono encountered Chapman again outside of their apartment building, the Dakota. With Lennon's back turned, Chapman drew his firearm, and the music world would never be the same again.
So I called the Daily News. He said to me, you think you have what? And he said, "Paul, are you sure that this is the man that you believe killed him?" And I said, "Well, that's the man named Mark from Hawaii who was waiting out there all day with the album, who got the autograph."
Before we unveil our top...
Oh my God, that's one thing that always gets me, is to hear stories about celebrities dying by the hands of their fans or people that are posing as fans. That's so sad that people have it in them to be like that. Oh my gosh. It's a crazy, crazy world we live in.
Pick. Here are some honorable mentions. Haiku Stairs. Mystery Man in the background. Hiking Tragedy. The woman in the photograph survived, but her hiking friend didn't. His Master's Voice. Logo was inspired by a dog that heard its late owner's voice on a recording. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos.
I'm gonna have their channel linked down in the description box below. Don't forget. But man, how did people know that that dog actually heard its owner's voice? What if it just heard a voice call out his name? Or thought it did.
Tyler Hadley and the Red Solo Cup. Mere hours before raising his Red Solo Cup in this pic, 17-year-old Tyler Hadley hid his parents' cell phone and took 3 ecstasy pills. Hadley proceeded to end his mother's life with a hammer and then did the same to his father. After cleaning up the mess, Hadley shared on Facebook he was throwing a party that very night. At said party, Hadley told his best friend Michael Mandel all about his heinous actions.
After he told me, I didn't believe him because he's been my best friend forever. I would never suspect anything like this. And I was looking around. He told me if I look at enough, I could see signs. I looked on the floor, I could see signs of blood. And that's when I went around back and looked in his parents' bedroom.
Using his phone, Mandel subsequently took this picture with Hadley, knowing it would be the last time they ever saw each other. Leaving.
That dude said that stuff as if he had like some power trip from it, like a high, like it was okay that he did that.
The party, Mandel hid the pills Hadley planned to commit suicide with and called Crime Stoppers. This led to Hadley's arrest and life sentence without parole.
Nearly 3 years of pain and worry now starting to slowly subside with the stroke of a gavel.
Do you agree with our...
Oh, so he was planning on ending his own. He threw a party, invited his friends. Oh my God. The poor parents, their son was sick. Their son was sick in the head and needed help. But unfortunately, that's something that always has bugged me. Growing up, watching different stories, watching criminal shows and unsolved mysteries and solved mysteries and stuff, is when you hear kids or teenagers or young adults taking the lives of their parents for whatever reason. They felt their parents were mistreating them. They just didn't. Oh my God, some cases were petty, like the parents took the Xbox or PlayStation away from them, or many of cases of trust fund babies that, you know, they knew that they were going to get some money once their parents were no longer around or their father was no longer around, so they, you know, devised a scheme to, you know, off their dad so they can get their money sooner. It's just crazy. But anyway, y'all know what time it is. If you like this reaction, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for more. As always, the link to the is going to be down in the description box below. If you haven't already, make sure you follow your boy on the gram and Twitter at Artofkickz. I will catch you guys in the next one.